Chief of Defense Staff hails armed forces synergy in decimating terrorists, bandits and oil thieves.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss local government autonomy matters arising.
The recent Supreme Court judgment and implementation of financial autonomy by the federal government have significant implications for local government autonomy in Nigeria.
Very true, Demola. The Supreme Court on July 11th ruled in favor of financial autonomy for local governments, stating that the Constitution recognizes their autonomy and state governments cannot withdraw funds meant for local governments.
This judgment reinforces the constitutional provision granting financial autonomy to local governments. The good news is that the federal government has commenced implementation of financial autonomy for local governments, with the Presidential Implementation Committee on Financial Autonomy of State Legislature and Judiciary working to ensure compliance.
Well, the federal government has also directed the Accountant General of the Federation to deduct funds meant for local governments directly from the Federation accounts.
Enhancing financial autonomy for local government means allowing the local government chairman to manage their resources effectively, increase independence from state governments, and reduce political interference.
It will also improve service delivery and grassroots development as local governments can now focus on their unique needs and priorities. Although there has been resistance from state governments, which may try to undermine the implementation of financial autonomy for local governments.
That's true. The recent Supreme Court judgment and implementation of financial autonomy by the federal government marks a significant milestones in the quest for local government autonomy in Nigeria. While challenges remain, this development has the potential to transform grassroots governance and development in Nigeria.
Today, on Good Morning Nigeria, we shall focus on the crucial aspects of governance, the recent Supreme Court judgment and federal government's implementation of financial autonomy, which has sparked intense debate and raised fundamental questions about the role of local governments in Nigeria's democracy.
And as we explore the intricacies of local government autonomy, we ask, what does true autonomy mean for grassroots development and service delivery? How will state government respond to the loss of control over local government funds? What are the implications for Nigeria's federal structure and the ongoing quest for restructuring?
So many questions there, Demola. I hope we find the answers.
Well, we have the guests that will be able to provide solutions, answers to those questions.
Of course. So, as they join us to examine the matters arising from local government autonomy, featuring expert analysis and stakeholder perspectives.
And we will examine the complex web of politics, governance, and development to uncover the truth and explore solutions for a more effective and accountable local government system in Nigeria. Welcome to the program. I am Ademola Adeoye.
And I'm Henry John. Let me also welcome you to today's program. We're reaching you live right here in Abuja, our headquarters. It is the network service of the NTA, of course. You can't beat the rich. You like the sound of that?
I like that.
Okay. All right. So Chikudu Okolugbaja will join us much later to reach you with News Report Review. For now, we've got Ogochokuka Ona, who has all the if you like, all the reach in terms of news, and she's ready to deliver to us this morning. Oga, good morning to you. How are you doing?
Very well, Yeri. Good morning. And of course, Ademola, good morning. And like you said, you can't beat the rich. That's true. All right, here is the news. Esther Walson-Jack has been sworn in as the new head of the Civil Service of the Federation. The ceremony was before commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting under the chairmanship of President Bola Tinubu this Monday. Esther Walson-Jack took over from Folashade Yemi-Esan, who proceeds on retirement from civil service after 5 years in the top civil service position.
Exceptionally well, with distinction, guiding the civil service through significant transformation and reform.
I'm looking forward to building on the existing reforms.
The federal government has taken delivery of 20 compressed natural gas CNG-powered buses from the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu took the delivery of the high-capacity buses at the State House.
If we work harder, be productive and innovative, it is an economic necessity that we should embrace. If we can enhance our energy competitiveness and bring about transformative changes like this.
Nigeria is sustaining a well-developed and functional civil registration system. Key players driving this initiative are optimistic of achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 16.9, which seeks to provide legal identity for all by 2030. This was the position of national data generating agencies and partners as part of engagements commemorating 2024 Africa Civil Registration and Vital Statistics Day in Abuja.
Registered at birth contributes to a more just and equitable society. It is a step towards leaving no one behind.
And now, following the marching order to troops by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, in line with presidential directive to the military to secure pipelines in the Niger Delta, troops have destroyed 58 illegal refining sites.
Covered over 22 illegal connections. We have destroyed over 58 illegal refineries. We have handled upward of 500,000 liters of crude oil and illegally refined products. The target of Mr. President is for us to reach 2.2 million barrels per day, and I think we are on course and we'll reach that target in the next few days.
In the meantime, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has expressed delight at the high level of synergy among members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria and the numerous operational successes being recorded against terrorists, insurgents, kidnappers, and other criminal elements in the country. He made his remarks while being briefed at the Strategic Operations Center, headquarters, Nigerian Air Force. And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Ademola and Henry after the commercial break. Please stay tuned.
My vision for our country is one of a just and prosperous nation, where each person may enjoy the peace, freedom, and meaningful livelihood that only democratic good governance can provide. One that is open, transparent, and accountable to the Nigerian people.
My baby is 6 months old. Wow! Now your baby needs more than breast milk. It's time to introduce mashed meals. In addition to breast milk, begin to give your baby mashed meals that contain at least one item from each of these 5 food groups. From 6 months, in addition to breast milk, your baby needs this combination of food types to grow healthy. This message is from the ANRIN Project, Federal Ministry of Health.
We're live in the open market for Epic 10X Challenge.
My people, today now.
Today, I will show you how the power of new Epic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Epic is thicker and sticks better,
which gives
10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Epic is better than
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Milo!
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with germ defense gives you protection. Raining season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with a transformational legislator, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrel Jibrin.
We've created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
NTA Television College Jos, with a pedigree of producing indelible professionals in the media space and an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for the award of Degree in Mass Communication, calls on prospective candidates to leverage on the following courses it offers for 2024-2025 academic session. BSc Mass Communication, those with minimum admissible score of 180 and above who sat for the 2024 JAM/UTME and direct entry, while 100 to 179 minimum admissible score can apply for the National Innovation Diploma NID in Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism and Television Engineering. For more inquiries, visit our website or call 0803 383 4343. Announcer, Registrar.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
All right, I got Chukudi Okoli-Ugbaja with us this morning. Chukudi, good morning. Good to see you.
Chukudi.
Chukudi. I thought you would even have.
I
thought you would start by appreciating the smile. You know that.
Yeah, Ray, you are well appreciated. But call me Chukudi.
Chukudi. Good morning, sir.
Let me call you like my people will call you Sukudi.
Oh, you're worsening it. Let's get on with newspaper review. I see you. You don't mean well towards me this morning.
No. Okay, Mary, you start. You have two papers there.
All right, so let's begin with the leadership this morning. Looking at the headlines quickly now. The lead story here says National Youth Service policy change threatens HND graduates' participation. Polytechnics flout rules, admit students without IT confirmation. Intervene, stakeholders beg NYSC. You want to find out what's going on? Page 4 has that. Away from that, quickly now, we have immigration quizzes woman who tore husband's passports. That's on page 4. I'm sure that's been trending everywhere. I'm sure you've seen that. We have a new government kicks as Shoaibu returns to office. That's on page 16. Quickly away from that now. 10 banks pay 1.66 trillion naira into AMCON's trust fund in 10 years. Details on page 22. Deacon now supplying arms to African countries, according to the federal government. Page 7 has that. Above the masthead, high inflation, FCCPC moves to curb exploitative pricing. You are a political turncoat. Bochi governor replies Dogara. All right. Okay. And finally, from the leadership this morning, we have crude oil demand from local refineries rises to 597,700 barrels per day. All right, let's turn our attention to the blueprint now. The blueprint leads with Tinubu Commission's 30 CNG-powered buses, says it's road to prosperity. The rider assures energy innovation will save cost, enhance productivity. Below that, uneasy calm in Edo, Shoaibu resumes as deputy governor. Riders is impersonating, says Edo State government. Oshomole, Edo South APC leaders vow to defeat PDP in September 21 Gubar. Away from that, we have here, you're stepping into big shoes. Tinubu tells new head of service of the Federation. By the way, congratulations to Esther Wilson Jack, the new head of service. And yes, not a total complete failure at the Olympics as NBBF to retain the Tigers coach after historic Olympic run. So that's, positive one from the Olympics there. And then finally on the green strip, Lagos, Kaduna lead in soaring debts, spend 139.92 billion naira in first quarter of 2024. So that's it.
Okay, I have the Daily Sun newspaper with me, and beside the nameplate, we have the gunmen killed 6 in Taraba, 8 new bodies recovered after fresh attack in Kaduna. The details of the story can be found on page 4. Separatist agitations, reps seek 10 million fine, 25 years jail term for culprits. Details of that story can be found on page 6. And below the picture, we have torn Nigerian passport. A woman risks 2 years jail term. NIS launches investigation. Details can be found on page 8. 2024 WAEC, 72% obtained 5 credits, including English and Maths. Exam body withholds 215,267 result over malpractices. Tinubu commissions 30 CNG buses with 3,000 passenger capacity. Says energy innovation will bring prosperity. Details of that story can be found on page 26. Southeast monarchs, bishops demand end to ethnic profiling against Igbo. Details of that story, it's on page 28. Drama in Edo, Shoaibu resumes as deputy governor. He's impersonating should be disregarded, states government. Details of that story is on page 6. Governor Bala Mohammed replies Dogara, calls him opportunist who thrives on misfortune. Details on page 27. And Chooks.
How can a man thrive in misfortune? Nigerian politicians seem to occasionally want to start their own lexicon entirely, you know. Yeah. Anyway, let's leave them. I always leave politicians out of this.
Maybe that's the way.
But some people thrive with the misfortune of others.
Oh, they thrive in confusion for other people. I don't see how that will last. You don't tell me that you do well in chaotic waters. You're going to drown sometime.
Well,
you know. Anyhow, leave the politicians to do their. You mentioned that Daikon now supplies arms to African countries. That's the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria. I remember when I was still in the village, and I could still take my shotgun into the bush after antelopes and grass cutters cutting grass. Daikon was almost better than the ones that were being imported. and it was by Nigerian industry. So I'm really happy to hear that. I have not seen the details of that story to know whether military-grade arms are involved this time around. Why am I talking about this? It's a positive for us that we can manufacture. Remember, one of the candidates during the elections was always singing, we want to become an exporter nation, not an importer nation. We want to keep produce, not consume, and all that. So that's a good one by Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria. I thought we should mention it. Then, of course, the president must have been a happy man yesterday when those 30 CNG buses, got, inaugurated. It's a good one in the sense that there is near desperation in the land, not just because of hunger, but that certain things that make life thrive on a daily basis are gradually diminishing from our shores, and that is becoming an ill wind that blows no one any good. And it's another positive for the presidency. Remember the loan scheme to students. Yeah. Remember the credit, to help the small people, small manufacturers, entrepreneurs, start off things that can help life within the country. And some other things that the administration has planned. I am really happy to hear it. But at the end of the day, the questions, actually. There are questions. Yeah. Is the fare going to be cheaper than what would obtain in vehicles that run on PMS?
Most likely.
Most likely, of course. Most likely. Then ultimately, would the buses go to every sector, both private operators and those who are within the government, the public, structure?
Actually, we don't know how this first set will be distributed.
Well, 30 is not.
It's just the first set.
You won't call 30 many yet. So the distribution we're talking about is a long-term projection. I think naturally it would go to whoever wants it when the numbers are what they should be.
We must also talk about who's going to be in charge of managing it, just because of maintenance.
Nyere, I like the way you pushing these things, because they actually take us to the crux of the matter, maintenance. I still don't think that all those buses, what are they called, Air-Rufai buses, at Karu cannot run. In fact, my friend said, once you hear that government is auctioning vehicles, go and get one immediately. Now, fuel pump 9 spoiled for one of them. You just repair it, it's on the road. It sounds ridiculous, but Nyere has a great point. Maintenance is the bane of infrastructure, handling in this country. Not be my papa motto, not be my papa job. And Black Africa's greatest nation keeps on suffering from ailments that can easily be treated by, ordinary analgesics. It's really unfortunate. Really? So maintenance is very important, very, very important. I think it is. I saw we tend to have swept killings in the country under the carpet because it started becoming the norm. It should never be the norm. No. Those 6 killed in Taraba, we must keep on shouting about those deaths. We must. Fresh attack in Kaduna.
Yeah.
Our security forces, the people themselves, must rise to the occasion and stop these, really embarrassing, cases of homicide, extrajudicial killing.
Yeah, I think there is this positive development this time around concerning the WAEC results. 72% obtained 5 credits, including English and maths.
I'm tired of confessing that I wrote mathematics 3 times and failed it 4 times. I wanted to ask
you. This is a good development, at least.
Actually, I told my first son, he says he made A1 in maths. And I said, Ifani, you better keep that result. Who brain you take right up? The owner will come for it eventually.
But why would you say that?
Well, I didn't pass it.
Because so why should I? Because I'm on the air. Your child will not be good at it because you didn't pass it.
You should expect your
he has his life to live.
To be better than you.
I stopped passing maths when they stopped. We stopped calculating if a train carries 20 tons of coal with 3 gallons of petrol. How many? That was never my own stuff.
How many gallons are left?
X and Y ruined everything.
You never found them.
I pray that our children are luckier than me. I'm very happy about the 72%.
You know, as a mathematician myself, I'm proud to say it. So
yeah, you teach me.
No,
you?
Yes, I did great in maths.
You did?
Yes, in WAEC. In fact, I had A1 like your son.
I think I'm going to have to give her a prize on the air. I hope that commercial does not charge me.
I went further. I did further maths too, by the way. Anyways, but you know.
Wait a minute. This is not about you, but you deserve some applause. 3 posa for Nere. That's a good one.
Finally, I get celebrated by the men on the show.
Do you know you are encouraging our children who think that mathematics is mission impossible?
Especially
by what you've just done.
It is not really.
Very.
It is
no,
not.
My son actually told me, Dad, is for you to know the theorems. Once you know the theorems and it's not anything really
difficult.
It's fine. Just when we're somewhere, just come up
and you see, my advice mostly to mathematics teacher is be friendly as much as possible. You know, once you have a friendly mathematics teacher who is welcoming, who, you know, is willing to take, you know, to give corrections without getting angry, without wanting to use the rod and all of that, you make the children come closer to you.
Whoa.
Yes, and then because they want to be around you, they put more effort to make sure that, you know, they do that thing well. So I think that way it will help a lot of children.
Input, that attitudinal input is very important.
Exactly.
Actually, Mr. Okonkwo caught me before I could leave for the library, where I read all the James Bond novels, read anything readable, you know. He caught me, and he stood me up in front of the class, and they used me to study symmetry. If I divide Chukwudi into 2 parts, what's on the left is on the... You know, it was a very unpleasant experience.
Anyways,
I couldn't run away before.
Anyways, we just hope that, you know, people will continue to do well in WAEC and, you know, all these exams, and of course make Nigeria great at the end of the day.
And they say maths is really interesting.
Very interesting, honestly, and it sets you on a good footing, you know, for so many courses, you know, outside secondary school.
So what are you doing here, Mary?
Well, love.
Anybody can be a broadcaster.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking.
It's a flares thing.
It's just a passion, you know. I love to talk.
And you're doing well as well.
Yeah,
anyways, but let's away from me now. Another big woman who is doing great, of course, the head of service, the new head of service, Esther Walson-Jack. It's important to mention that, you know.
What about Kekeregu?
Who?
Kekeregu. We have Justice Kekeregu here. Become second female CJN. Kekeregu. Eku. Okay? Yeah. I'm saying that there's another woman that has added a feather to the female fold.
Exactly.
You know,
so I just, you know, like what Adebola was trying to say, a lot of young girls watching need to, you know, see these examples and know that they themselves can aspire to be anything great. And, you know, step up to it. And we also hope that parents too would encourage their female children, you know, to do great.
All right. So let's just call it, let's draw the curtain here. Chooks.
Thank you so much for having me as usual.
All right.
Tomorrow is another day by His grace.
Tomorrow is another day. Thank you very much for coming. So we now take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Let me give you the gist right.
Okay.
So I told her one, she no agree. I told her two, she no agree. And I say, come where there's money, Big Jane says she's coming.
I did my research and I saw that it was fun. Saw that it was vibes, there was money to be won. Then I said, yeah, put my name on the form. Then it did just that, and what was done was done.
He has been releasing albums for us back to back, but he didn't blow. Hopefully, we are expecting that it will blow very soon.
As the rap, no rap, I had to wrap it up. So come Optiman and fuel. If we win this field, it go help with the fuel. The show host too sweet. I give her dice to roll, she rolled 2-6. Oh, you're waiting be your name.
Bisola! I love it!
Karina!
Yes, Bisola.
In a relationship?
No.
I like when people are firm. They know what they're saying.
Yeah.
They don't dodge the answers.
No.
They don't roll their eyes and go, nah.
I'm a seasoned international alaga.
Alaga is seasoned. International.
For engagements, trust me, I'm there. And the action is there.
Mention a reason people avoid relationships.
Commitment issues.
That's what you are suffering from, Abby.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She says commitment issues. Survey says.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country that, that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
Nigeria, a land of rich culture and diverse voices, where every voice matters. In times of disagreement, let's choose dialogue over discord. Together, we can find solutions through understanding and respect. Let's build a stronger Nigeria, one conversation at a time. Dialogue, not protest. Unity, not division. Nigeria, united in dialogue.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Diversity is unique, we are more than just a nation. We are Nigeria, strength and unity, we know they carry life. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
All right, this is still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. And to begin our conversation on local government autonomy matters arising, here's a background report put together by our correspondent Oyeyemi Ajayi.
The Supreme Court judgment granting financial autonomy to 774 local government councils nationwide has been met with mixed reactions and feelings, though many tend to be in favor of the judgment. The Supreme Court had ruled that it was illegal and unconstitutional for governors to receive and withhold funds allocated to local government areas in their states, and as to be interpreted, the judgment is binding and must be enforced nationwide. The court further empowers the Accountant General of the Federation to bypass state governments and disburse monthly federal allocation to the local government areas. As much as some state governors have expressed their support to the Supreme Court judgment, many have expressed their reservations and reactions. For example, the 33 council chairmen of Oyo State have dumped the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON. The chairman, in a communique issued by all the chairmen, unanimously declared their unalloyed support for Governor Seyi Makinde. They attributed their unequivocal loyalty to the governor for his exemplary leadership and unrivaled achievements since his assumption to office. The council chairman revealed that the decision to move to a new association was arrived at due to the need to protect and provide for the people in their various local government areas. It also said that the intended association for local government executive chairmen will be registered under the relevant laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. However, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, in a landslide judgment on local government autonomy, ordered that the 4-year tenure enjoyed by executives be extended to the offices of all local government chairmen across the country. Finally, it will be easier to hold local government bosses immediately accountable for any misuse of public funds, since they are not covered by the immunity clause which presidents and governors enjoy. With all these leverages given to local governments in the country, many have questioned how accountable these local government councils will be, judging by the level of freedom they get. What are the checks and balances on them? Questions our guest will be answering shortly.
Thank you, Yemi Ajayi, for that background. And we have in the studio our guests who are already seated to discuss local government autonomy matters arising. And let me just start in no particular order. I'm going to start with Ezenwa Nwagu, our regular chairman, Partners for Electoral Reform, and convener, Say No Campaign Nigeria. You're welcome once again.
Thank you.
Good morning. All right, good morning. Also, it's my pleasure also joining us here in the studio. Let me introduce Shaba Ibrahim, former House of Representatives and former chairman, Kogi Local Government Council, LGC, and legal practitioner. Shaba, you are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
Good. Thank you. Also from Lokoja Studio in Kogi State is John Ajewole, a constitutional lawyer. You are welcome. John Ajewole.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
All right. Thank you very much. Right there. Let's also introduce other guests joining us for the conversation via Zoom. We have Honorable Aminu Muazu Meifata, the National President, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Welcome and good morning.
All right. Once we have one more guest who would join us for this conversation, we would let you know. So.
All right. Let's just kickstart the conversation now with Ezenwa. Let's look at the judgments of the Supreme Court now, the recent judgment on local government autonomy for grassroots development. What does it mean when we talk about, the effect it will have, the implication on grassroots development in Nigeria?
Well, if everything works well, the intendment of that judgment is that it will strengthen local governance. It would build the capacity of those who hold the reins of power in the subnational to be able to deliver for their own people. So it's with excitement, I must tell you, that people received that judgment. Because for me, the local governance is more important, really. If we have our local governments working for the generality of the people, doing the things that they should do, indeed some of the restiveness that we have will be minimized. So the challenge has never been for me, and that's where about judicial pronouncements is about the elite, the thinking of the elite, their value system. What do they really want? What are those things that interest them if what is of interest to them, then this is something that should be welcomed, and then to ensure that the majority of our people who live mostly in the backwater communities have a test of not just governance, but even democracy. Where do we teach our people democracy? Where do they learn democracy? If we have chosen to be democratic, then the place to teach democracy should be at that sub-national level. And financial autonomy plus political autonomy will drive and produce democratic people, people who think democratically, people who truly are civilized in their conduct, in language, in engagement. We're not having that now because you have czars, if you like, you have emperors who still run these places as if it is still in the feudal stage. So this is some kind of awakening, if you like, of the consciousness of the people to feel democracy, to participate in democracy, and then through it exercise governance.
When you say that your fear is with the elitists, that whatever they comprehend concerning these Supreme Court judgment will determine how far we go with it, what exactly do you mean by that? You mean that if they do not buy, into the Supreme Court judgment, it will not go, we will not see the effects?
It's just like a child. To wean off a child from the mother's breast is perhaps one of the most difficult things that can happen. And that's because oftentimes you find out that the comfort that it provides is something the child does not want to lose. So the governors who have operated really in much more like I permit the use of that word, like emperors, have their stranglehold on the subnational, on local governance is tough. I hear people say, yes, we have financial autonomy as guaranteed by the Supreme Court, but if the governors control, as they currently are doing, control the levers of power and relationship within that structure, then you are not going to really enjoy, because as they say, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So what I think is that it should go with political autonomy. Financial autonomy must also go with political autonomy, where we have truly democratically elected local council officials who will owe their allegiance to the people. Most of the time now, the people who run local governments actually don't live in those local governments. They live in their capital, because every place the governor is going to, they have to be there, they have to show presence. They only visit their local governments. By the time...
There are also state governors who don't live in their states.
No, they at least, most of the time I know they are abroad, and they are not even staying in Nigeria. I know that, but that's the point that I'm making, is that we have to have people who,
on ground for their people.
who feel the pains of their own people in the true sense of it.
Okay, many thanks, Ezenwa Wago. Two comments you made. First, you said if everything works well, meaning things may not work well. And then you said it's not about judicial pronouncements, it's about what the elites want. So the question is, are the elites above the law? But let's get to Shaba Ibrahim. I want to find out what you think about all of this, local government autonomy. And then I want you to focus your attention at what is happening in your state at the moment. How do you think all of this will go down?
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to say from the onset that the whole idea of local government autonomy is something that most Nigerians really like to have, because the local government, as I know, as it ought to be, is the total of government without argument. Somehow, if you look at how this constitution is structured, it will appear as if the framers never really intended it as such. Going by the provisions of the constitution as known to me. But in the real sense of it, it's something that can drive development. And like Sawago has said, the local government as the third type of government, supposedly, be the third type of governance, is supposed to be closest to the people, the grassroots, where developments can be, basic needs of life can be provided. But in reality, and regrettably to know, they have been under the stranglehold of, you can even call it financial chokehold of their excellencies. This conversation has been on for a very long time, and it too appears if the governors especially have seen the local government as their cash cows. It's very easy to fleece the local governments because context, though provided in the constitution at the local government level, it's not a popularity contest. It's by anointing. Once their excellencies say you are, you are. That ends it. And by so doing, there is no allegiance to the people, properly so called. The allegiance is to the appointer. That is the anointing authority. And that is where you have the mischief. The chairmen at that level are not really, they're not answerable to the people because their mandate never really came from them in the first place. And so I see the entire Supreme Court decision, as far as I am concerned, is a process. With all due respect, it looks inchoate to me because without a corresponding pronouncement on how these councils are constituted, how the chairmen are voted into office and the councillors, it will only be a mirage. But I think it's a bold step in the right direction. Is what the late Justice Oputa would call judicial activism or radicalism. Because if you look at it, it will appear as if even the judicial, they just had to look beyond the ordinary letters of the law and say, look, this is what ought to be in a society that needs to really push development. So since the governors have learned to fleece without missing, the courts too have decided to shoot the target directly. And by so doing, I mean the Constitution as it is would require some amendment. Our extant laws will require some amendment to be able to drive fully the entire issue about local government autonomy. There has to be a step forward. The whole idea of a SIEC, that's the State Independent Electoral Commissions, is so worrisome to many. In my state today, there's a lot of apathy from the opposition parties as to whether they should even go into that contest or not, because we all know that it will remain just what you call the holo ritual if and only if there are no electoral reforms.
A one-party election.
Absolutely. I was called from the party secretariat to ask if people are not buying funds from my local government. Perhaps there is still a lot of apathy. Not many people believe in that system. So unless and until you can win the states of the power to conduct local government elections, all that pronouncement, the governors are smarter than that. All that pronouncement will be, with all due respect, a waste, because they can. Do you know how these things are done? And time will not permit, but I can talk from practical experience. Some of the things I've seen. Having served as chairman of Algon in the state at one point, and so bravo to their lordships. That pronouncement is in tandem with the aspiration of majority of Nigerians, but we still need to go a step further. I want to encourage the Attorney General to also take before the Supreme Court. You understand? Because constitutional amendment also requires the buy-in of the state governors. The respective state houses of assembly. I don't see much coming out of it because these same houses of assembly have earlier at a point voted against their own autonomy.
Autonomy, exactly.
It's curious. It's crazy. But that is the reality on the ground. So unless and until we weave some kind of, we need something around, over and beyond them, go beyond them and try to get things done through judicial radicalism or whatever you choose to call it, we will not go anywhere. their excellencies are too fixated on the funds of the local government to be able to, and it's so easy to take because it's something you do without accounting. Can you imagine the state legislature going around and say it's oversighting local government councils, where local government councils have their own elected, quote unquote, elected legislature? They will leave the state because the governor is too big for them to look after and go after local government councils.
All right, many thanks, Shaba Ibrahim.
So
let's pause you there, and get the perspectives of our other guests joining us, from other parts of the country. Let's get to the national president of Algon now, Honorable Aminu Muazu Mefata. I would like you to tell us what the situation of things are now with the local governments after the pronouncement by the court, declaring local autonomy, financial autonomy for local governments. Tell us, has it taken effect? There are reports that there's a 90-day window, if you like, moratorium, pending when all of that will kick off. Tell us the situation of things, and then what do you think about the financial autonomy, and if you agree with the points of the guests right here in the studio.
Thank you very much. I said this, I'm very happy with the statements most especially by my colleague, by my senior colleague and the other guests on the Supreme Court. As Algon will say, so far so good, and we welcome that pronouncement with all hands. And we all know that announcement has really kickstarted a new era in terms of local government administration wide. It rejects or puts so much that had been on caretaker administration for long, by that pronouncement, to announce or to roll out election timetable at the local government councils. So this development, it is a good start. And about the full takeoff of that pronouncement, especially sending monies direct to accounts, we know it has been given as a policy for it to put some things in order. Some of these things we know, like linking the local government accounts to the national treasury, and then put all the necessary conditions or reject the local government entirely accounts department to brace up for this new government that we are going to find ourselves. And thank God, this, from all indication, it has come to stay. And from the feelers I've been getting from various states or various Algon states chairmen, that is various local government councils across the country, I can say so far so good. Of them has reported to the national Algon that his fund, he has been directed, or local government councils have been directed to channel their funds to where they are not supposed to go, but to the local government coffers. So this is the report, the good report I'm receiving so far, which indicates good starting and good things to come ahead for the local government councils and the people at the grassroots. Having said this, we are all aware of the challenges that local government councils, most especially the chairmen, are going to face ahead. That is, are we ready to carry our sword, to carry our flag, to move ahead? That is where we are looking at. That was why, after that pronouncement, we called our NEC meeting on the 26th of last month. And the main reason for calling this NEC meeting was to tell ourselves the truth and to sensitize ourselves as the various states AMCON chairmen that now we are on our own. This Supreme Court pronouncement has been welcomed by each and every Nigerian, most especially at the grassroots level. The thinking or the expected things from the local government councils now is to see that local government councils are being revitalized like they used to be in those days or in those years, where local government councils can undertake developmental projects, can attend to its constitutional responsibilities efficiently and perfectly, most especially in terms of attending using financial resources at its disposal. Now, these resources are going to be channeled through us. So we need to know this, and we need to know, just like it was said the other time, we don't have, the local government council chairman don't have anything to shield them. No doubt, our principals use their influence to bring any council chairman to his seat. But now you are on our own. You are on your own. You need to put it at the back of your mind that if you don't do the right thing, your principal, that is the governor, will not be there to defend you. But he has contributed immensely, no doubt, in bringing you to that seat. But now you are going to be answerable to the people at the grassroots, the people that are supposed to have voted for you. Knowing this, you must have to sit up and do the right thing. And don't allow the people that are now so happy with the Supreme Court pronouncement, don't disgrace them. This can be done, or this can be so by performing as expected as a local government council chairman, by people to see you undertaking a lot of rural roads, undertaking a lot of maintenance and provision of other basic facilities like potable drinking water, and so many of them maintaining primary health care centers and providing the drugs, genuine drugs that are going to be used there, and make all these things available at affordable prices, if the case may be, or just free to our people so that they will know that, yes, what we were hearing, that local government councils were taking care of primary school education, all their needs, providing free exercise books, free learning materials, while local government councils were constructing drainages and culverts, while local government councils were providing or building, constructing markets and maintaining them, while local government councils were ensuring that each and every household or community is kept healthy. The hygiene is there. We have the health overseers, which in the north we call them Dubagari, that go around to make sure that our drainages, our households are kept clean, all under local government council's watch. So this is the dream, or these are part of the dreams that this Supreme Court pronouncement will be able to rekindle and to restore them back to local government administration. So we have told ourselves for sensitization of local government councils across the country to know our roles, to know what to do, and to know how to go about conducting our affairs.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Meitafa there for Meifata, okay, for your feedback there, and you told us that the feedback you have been getting from the local government and have been very positive, and also you have been having meetings on how these judgments will work. Oh, okay, fine. Let's go to Lokoja now, Lokoja studio, where we have John Ajewole, who is a legal practitioner. Let's have your view on this. Lokoja, we're going to Lokoja now, where we have John Ajewole, who is a legal practitioner. Let's have your own view concerning this local government autonomy. We have been examining, the guests so far have been examining the benefits. I want you to give us your own view and probably some of the drawbacks that may arise from giving full autonomy to local governments.
Giving full autonomy to local governments. All right, thank you very much. On my part, the judgment of the Supreme Court is a welcome development for us as a nation. This is because over the years, the local government administration in Nigeria has not been what it is supposed to be. I agree with those who have spoken ahead of me that, yes, at the onset we may have challenges because for everything that is new, people are cautious about it. But it is good for us to just look back briefly to see the evolution of the local government and how we were where we were until that judgment. And many of us will remember that local government started as indirect rule by the colonialists in West Africa. And of course, it was in Nigeria that Lord Lugard really gave it a major boost. Then, the indirect system rule of government was run through traditional rulers, local administrators, and all of that. They have their institutions then. It worked. They have, for example, the native authority administration, native authority courts, native authority schools, native authority treasuries, and things were working. That was the First Republic. Eventually, let me concede also that there were abuses then, particularly in terms of the native authority police. And when the First Republic went the way it did, the military in preparation for the Second Republic came out with what they call local government reforms. Like I remember it was during the Murtala Obasanjo regime. They came out with major reform that will help the local government. And it did not quite work out at that time. But the constitution that ushered in the Second Republic, the 1979 Constitution, in Section 7, provided that henceforth, local government will be a recognized tier of government. And that's why we have it for the first time, the way it was couched in the Constitution. The Constitution recognized the local government as a tier of government and define its functions in the Constitution. And of course, also provide, strangely also, that it will be controlled, in a sense, by the local, by the state government, by way of the control of its finances, elections to their offices, and some other things were left in the hand of the local government. That was the state as at the end of the Second Republic. Now we have this 1999 Constitution, which is what we are operating, that is the bane of what we are looking at. Of course, our experience under the 1999 Constitution compared with what we had in 1979, and as well compare with what obtained the First Republic, was that things were getting worse. And of course, local government effectively became the appendage of state government. And there was the attempt with this local government autonomous bill that the National Assembly had attempted to bring forth to correct the situation, that too did not quite work out because it required the concurrence of the State Assembly of two-third state of Nigeria, which did not happen. And so that bill died naturally. That was the background to what we now have today. Yes, under the practice we had in the past, it was a hybrid in the sense that on the surface of it, the local government were recognized by the Constitution, and their role were defined in, of course, the Constitution as well. But when it comes to the, for example, holding of the election, that one was state. And of course,
seem to be having some technical challenges there connecting with John Adewale. We hope that will get fixed, and of course we'll get back to him to get his thoughts on the topic of discussion. Well, let's quickly head to Ibadan now. We have Professor Emmanuel Remi Ayode, a professor of political institutions, Governance and Public Policy Department of Political Science, University of Ibadan. Professor Ayode, if you can hear me, good morning to you, sir. Professor Emmanuel Ayode, all right, I'm sure you can hear me. So I'll just quickly ask you, you've been following the discussion, you've heard the thoughts of guests right here in the studio and those joining us outside. What do you think about the local government autonomy? And then I'd like you to tell us what is going on in your state, because there are reports about, of course, the governor kicking against the judgment, and then we've seen local government chairmen coming out to say, they do not support, the financial autonomy for local governments and all of that. But give us a true picture of what is happening in your state, and what are your thoughts about That's not a clean connection, but that would get better, hopefully. So let's get back here in the studio now.
Okay, it's back.
Professor Emmanuel Ayode, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. I was off for a minute.
Great, fantastic. So I hope you got my question about what are your thoughts about local government autonomy, and then the comments made by the guest right here with us, and tell us the situation of things in your state as regards local government autonomy, financial autonomy.
Well, the latest development is really that the 33 local governments have come out to declare support for the position of the governor and to say that they are going to opt to do the decision. Also, as we know, the Supreme Court is very clear in terms of what has been declared. The first is that no governor has the powers to replace elected local government chairman with caretaker committees. It also stated very clearly that local government without elected local government officials will not get allocation from the federation account. And finally, it also says that money should be given directly from the federation account to local government with elected chairman. And I think the bottom line is that the Supreme Court underscored the local government level as a third tier of government in Nigerian federal system, an issue that has been in contention in public debates, and you see people taking positions that suggest that they want local government to be completely under the purview of state government. This is not unexpected, given the fact that people are not happy with the way local governments were created under military rule, and they thought that the consolidation of the names of local government in the Constitution is an effort to keep that arbitrary local government creation, which they think favor of some parts of the country especially those with military officials in high position during those heydays of true. This is the policy around the Supreme Court decision. While I think that establishing local government as an autonomous level of government that is completely under the control of their communities is where we should go, I think that the decision of direct payment to local government from the federal account does not automatically guarantee that. And it is important for us to make this very clear. And we also need to look back to what happened under the Obasanjo regime, especially when he was paying federation account directly to local government, and what local government officials did with that money. When my colleague in the studio was talking about absentee chairman and absentee local government officials, he's probably also trying to dig back to what happened during that time, where you have local government chairmen who appear in the local government once in a month to share revenue from the federation account. They are absentee people who don't live in those local communities. And it is also that kind of behavior that characterizes the appointment of local government caretaker committees who are not necessarily residents of local government areas, but they can claim indigenship of those local government, but are beholden to the state governor. So we have quite a number of messy issues that needed to be addressed before we can take local government back to those local communities, because the issue is not just about who controls local government between the federal government and the state government, but making local government part and parcel of the life of communities, so that local government will be owned by those communities, support the activities of governance within the local area, and ensure that local governments, both in terms of their vision, in terms of their program for those local communities, look up to those communities for ideas, for action, and those communities are part and parcel of the decision-making process, not just monitors of what goes on, but active participants in the decision-making process, and also in mobilizing resources to support activities at that level. So we talk in terms of achieving what I describe as local governments within the local government area. That should be the goal. That cannot happen, as Ezenwa said, without some kind of consensus among the levels of government. Because, as you know, the Constitution currently grants state government extensive political powers to oversee what goes on at local government level. So if the government does not, if the federal government does not negotiate with them, the decision of the federal of the Supreme Court might end up being meaningless, as you can see from what is already happening in Oyo State, for instance. So we need to negotiate this process. This is very similar to the offshore and onshore dichotomy that the Supreme Court decided on, which Obasanjo found that if he doesn't negotiate with those communities, it's not likely to be able to implement that Supreme Court judgment. So what he did was to put parties together to sit around the table and discuss what they think is best given the decision of the Supreme Court. This situation also requires that kind of negotiation dialogue with state government to be able to address that, because the states, governors, and their houses of assembly play a very vital role in local government, both in terms of elections and also in terms of constitutional amendments.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ayede, there, for your contribution there. A lot of issues need to be addressed before actually the before we can actually have the full benefits of this local government autonomy. Let's come back to the studio. Ezenwa, you have listened to the contribution of other guests, and just like you said too, that there need to be a kind of a compromise between the federal, the state, and the local government now. Now, what do you think from all the issues that have been raised? What do you think should be the role of the state government in this instance?
Well, happily there is consensus in the panel in terms of what this means for all of us.
Yes.
The only thoughts that keep resonating for me is today's Algon, today's chairman, under what kind of condition were they elected?
That's the same question that was raised earlier.
So, no, I mean today's, the people who constitute
the Algon,
the platforms at that subnational level were elected through the kind of process that my distinguished honorable talked about earlier, which is the point in which the party, the dominant party in those states, took 99% of the vote cast. In fact, I'm being patronizing in saying 99%. They took all.
All, yeah. 100%.
So whether it's in Oyo currently, where you have that solidarity, it is a solidarity of benefit. The same thing Honorable talked about, where the states' houses of assembly will come together and say, look, we don't want autonomy. It's imponderable. What we need to do is to remove the stranglehold of these governors. Professor Aide is talking about negotiation. What we are dealing with is impunity.
But he talked about a process that it cannot just be done.
No, I'm coming. We are dealing. You can use process to cure impunity. You can, if the end point is impunity. He's absolutely correct. That is a process.
Yeah.
But let's look at what we are dealing with. So the Supreme Court gives a judgment. Somebody sits somewhere and says, "Let us negotiate it." Where are we going to go with all of this? Where will we go to? Because except we are very clear about the things that we want. If it were a court of appeal or lower court, but the Supreme Court of the land gives a judgment that resonates with majority of the people who live in that place, and some people say, let's negotiate. Let's have a conversation about that judgment. Let's know whether we have imbalance in the way the military created the local governments. That has to do with surgery, some kind of political surgery in the National Assembly. They can do that on their own. But today, the local governments, the one that exists, if they have financial and political autonomy, the majority of our people who live there will benefit. What do? We need to tinker around first, possibly. What do we do with the SECs, the state independent electoral commissions? We need to deal with the money itself. Where, yes, is in the, what do they call it, sir? Is it first line charge? Just like INEC gets his own money, can the SECs also have their money? Can they be trained? Can there be a new process of appointment? Can we have a stakeholder, representation in the State Independent Electoral Commission? What do I mean? You can have the political parties have nomination through probably IPAC. You can have civil society. You can have professional groups. You can have the judiciary. You can have security agents. Have representation within that platform. And then you have their money coming to them, so that the process of, first and foremost, leadership recruitment within the local government can be one that gives little confidence.
What about the fact that it is the governors that appoints the head of this CX? Are you in support of CX, or you think INEC should conduct elections for local governments? Because some people are also...
I don't believe in outsourcing. I believe in improving what you have.
Okay.
We had an INEC that everybody knew that you could be going to cast elections, and the result of where you are casting the elections will be announced. That's where we came from. We started working. Both the National Assembly, there's stakeholder unanimity that there is need to be improvement in that process. The donors came, everybody came, and then there is incremental progress. I mean, shift from what we used to have in the past. Many times, when you want to solve a problem, you create a new problem. those who are talking about new, what do they call it now? They say new INEC for the states. Some are saying, you know, let's scrap the SEC and let INEC conduct the election.
Yeah.
All of those debates is part of what we do when we have a problem. We outsource the problem. We never ever want to confront it. What are those challenges that we have with the current State Independent Electoral Commission in terms of leadership recruitment process within that place? How do we work around it and make it better than what it is currently? So in answering your question, the way you have it at the national is that the president nominates. When the president nominates, the challenge is that in most of the states, you truly do not have state assemblies. You have an extension of the state house. And so, in reality, if you had the kind of National Assembly that Honorable them were in, where something can come in and people say, no, this is the better thing to do, this is the right thing we should do. But you don't have that in the states. You don't have that in the states. So, the debate and negotiation should be citizen negotiation, really, for me, in terms of what do we want our local government to be. Where do we want it to go to? And not to sit down, people who have appropriated that platform already, ambushing all the structures that can even engage in the negotiation, holding it in their hand. So if you go to the negotiation in the state, you bring members of the House of Assembly, you bring the state chairman, who, by the nature of how they came in, their complexion in the first instance, does not even allow them to be neutral in that negotiation. So you are going to... It's about impunity. And we need to come to that point where we say we are clear about what we want to do with our local government.
Impunity. But do you think that the fact that local government, chairmen do not have immunity would help in all of this? Because if a local government chairman decides not to do the needful, for his people, and he doesn't enjoy immunity like the governor, I mean, anything could happen. So don't you think that would, probably encourage them or, make them push to do something better? And also looking at the fact that we've had governors who were anointed, like you said, or installed by their previous bosses, if you like, former governors. But when they get into office, they decide what they want to do and turn down the offers, or if you like, the advice of their anointee, or be anointer, exactly.
Or godfather.
Or godfather. So yeah, so can't we see that play out with the local governments too?
Yeah, to an extent, yes, but largely, you see, most of these things has to do with the frame of mind of the man who is at the helm. From my own perspective, I was elected under the same constitution we're talking about. And I must say that considerable extent we didn't have this kind of interference that we're witnessing today, though this was over a decade ago. In fact, let me put it on record that our own set of chairmen, we were the first to serve out our tenure under the law that elected us. Mm. And it's because we took on the House of Assembly head on. In this case, it was not even the governor. It was the House of Assembly. At this point, the speaker had to ask me in Yoruba, "I'm okay here now. We can't even say any small thing. Instead of you to come and let us talk, you'll be heading to court." We went to court thrice, and on 3 occasions we came out tops. And that was the only way we were able to, maybe because I was a lawyer. I mean, I'm a lawyer. A very active one at that before I got there. So I was bubbling with enthusiasm and everything. So it's the frame of mind of the government. You see, the way they are structured today, they think the local government is their fiefdom. And the kind of ease with which they are able to access local government funds, they don't have all those bottlenecks. I mean, at the local government level, like they would in their own. There are people who today they want to enjoy today, go to jail tomorrow if it's possible. Because they believe there are loopholes in the system that they will be able to navigate and escape accountability at the end of the day. So if their excellency, you're talking about direct funding. If you fund directly, they can take it back. It's round tripping. You understand? They can give it to you and say, look, return it, and you can do very little or nothing. Otherwise, you'll be looking for another job tomorrow. So, if we come to, I disagree completely that this is not about negotiation. It's not about negotiation. Did we negotiate the Supreme Court decision? No. Once the Supreme Court is the apex court, is the final court of the land, and I think it is quite audacious for anybody to even think there should be a debate on the pronouncement of the apex court in the land. So, by same token, I would want to encourage the Attorney General, who by any means is somebody that knows what he knows is onion, to still take this matter back to the so you see, the whole process of trying to go through legislation has proven ineffective in resolving this matter. We've been having this conversation for decades now. The only way they can learn is by the apex court going through the same process that they used to stamp their feet on the ground and say this is what is good for the Nigerian people. Even if it involves, driving roughshods over what you may think are extant provisions of some laws. But again, the law is what the judiciary says it is, because they are the ones constitutionally saddled with the interpretation. So go by way of interpretation, seek the interpretation of the relevant sections of the Constitution, maybe Section 7 and so forth and so on, and agree that, you see, my problem with SIEC is SIEC, who appoints the members of SIEC? In some states, card-carrying members of political parties,
head SIEC.
They are those on board SIEC. So, which one is even the bigger problem? Is it which one came first? Is it the chicken or the egg? Now, so we have to look at all of those. But my own submission, and I think I stand on very strong ground, is that if the Supreme Court, by parity of reason, the same way they took head on this latest pronouncement on the autonomy of local government, the issue of the appropriate body to conduct elections, INEC may have its own flaws, but vis-a-vis SIEC, I think INEC will appear to be like... So
you don't agree with Ezenwa that we should fix the problems in the CX? Instead of
it's a bit more complicated because you are localizing all of this. You're going to have to deal with some 36 state governors as opposed to just focusing on the apex court, coming out with that pronouncement, and we're getting everybody to comply.
So you think it will be a long process?
I think it will be a long process because if in terms of trying to fix INEC, SIEC itself, you have to go through constitutional amendment. And that process will still go back to the respective state House of Assembly. And if you look at the antecedent... But
you called for amendment earlier on. We said that there is need for us to...
Ordinarily, yes, but I'm saying that what we couldn't do using the respective state House of Assembly, the Supreme Court has done for us. And the beauty of it is it's beyond challenge or argument. They have said it, they have said it. Whether you think it's right or wrong or open to negotiation or not, that today is the law, irrespective of what you think the law says. So my take is that we should, the Attorney General should still go back to the Supreme Court, place this matter before it. Let us have a favorable interpretation that is in sync with the aspiration of the ordinary Nigerian.
Okay,
that's the only way to break through this, in my humble opinion.
Okay, thank you very much for your opinion there. We'll just pause here. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll go to our other guest via Zoom. Stay with us.
In a land of peace and harmony, we cherish our freedom and unity. But around the world, we've seen how protests can spiral into chaos. What starts as a peaceful protest can sometimes end in anarchy, tearing communities apart.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days.
So those who experience it will run away from it.
Let's learn from these experiences. Let's value dialogue over destruction. Together, we can build a brighter future. Let's choose unity. Let's choose peace. Join us in the Peaceful Future Initiative, because together we can make a difference.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Meet lovebirds Jayola and Adama Davies. Their dream of living together as man and wife has finally been fulfilled.
The latest couple in town. Hey! Mr. and Mrs. Giant David!
But an invasion by their troublesome families was not a scenario they bargained for. Her mother moves in. His mother shows up with his little niece. Then her younger sister joins the scramble.
You want to stay?
Married life suddenly becomes very complicated even before it started. Follow their story on this channel as they confront every challenge as it comes. Family forever, the story of our lives.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
All right, welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Our guests are still very much with us, and the topic for discussion today is local government autonomy matters arising. So we get to our guest, Honorable Aminu Muazu Maifata, the National President, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, who joins us from Nasarawa State. Honorable Maifata, you have spoken about what local governments could do, and and all the things that this autonomy can bring to the people of Nigeria. But our guests have said that, well, local government chairmen, by virtue of the way they have been elected, or if you like appointed or anointed, it's not likely that they will deliver, and this autonomy will mean anything good for the people. But I want to just hear your thoughts about what can be done, with the judgment of the Supreme Court. And our guest here, Shaba Ibrahim, has already said that this is not subject for negotiation or discussion, by any party. It should be followed, in clear terms. But tell us, how can we make local governments accountable? How can we make the administration, the financial, procedures, or if you like, administration of local governments as transparent and accountable as possible?
Thank you very much. Just like I said earlier, on getting this, we say first thing is to call our members. Maybe if it is going to be zonal or state by state, sensitize local government council chairmen on this new development. Know your boundaries. Know your responsibilities. So we are going to build capacities of these local government councils the more. Thank God, the present generation of local government chairmen are highly, most of them, or most of us, are enlightened. Majority, if not all, know what they are doing because they are mostly graduates and they have a lot of experience. Knowing fully this, then we say, okay, come to the table, come to a classroom again to rekindle or to rejig what you knew before, that now you we are clamoring for financial control. What are we going to do with these finances that will start trickling into our accounts? Do you just start spending anyhow you like because you are the chief executive of that local government council? We say no. There are procedures, there are rules, policies, and regulations guiding this expenditure. We have check and balances. Whether we like it or not, the legislative arm of the local government council are constitutionally responsible for checking the executive, as well as the executive checking them. So let us have that mindset. Let us know or bring it back to us that we have all taken oath to do the right thing. Once we know this, then we'll start doing the right thing. We start channeling, following due process and how to go about these expenditures that will bring development in terms of whatever item to the people at the grassroots. So we will do this first. After doing this, then we will bring experts with experience, like former council chairmen, like our senior, the former Kogi council chairman. We'll bring some of them to come and lesson us, come and give us the experience to tap when they were receiving their monies direct to their council's account. How were they doing? So we need this kind of experiences, even though we know some of us that spend maybe some spending above 5 or 6 years in office, we must we have gathered a lot of experiences, some of us, to forge ahead. But majority of those coming newly, they need this orientation and reorientation so that we do the right thing. So having back of already started, and because we have already reached out to government organizations, private organizations, and even international organizations that are working in Nigeria, like the World Health Organization. We had reached out to it, and it has started giving us a lot of lessons on how to go about managing our healthcare, primary healthcare facilities so well. So these are the kind of things that we'll keep on doing until we get it right. We know the administrative autonomy we're talking about, it will come too. since if you look at what most of the state governors are doing, in fact,
you know, Honorable Mayfata, because of time, quickly, I would like to find out, you said, you know, speaking with, you know, the local government chairmen, sensitizing them and all of that. Have you been able to reach out to local government chairmen in Oyo State, you know, to find out why they are against the decision of the Supreme Court? Have you been able to do that?
He spoke and reached out to the Algon chairman there. So he told me their reasons, but I tried to counsel them. We know.
Okay. What are their reasons? Could you share what you think their reasons are, what you were told?
Their reasons?
Yes.
Their reasons is just, to be frank, is just obeying your principle.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that answers the question.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Mayfata, for that. The need for, you have talked about the need for, to call for sensitization and to build the capacity of the local government chairman presently. Now, let's go to Lokoja now, where we still have John Ajewole. If you have been following the discussion so far, just like Mayfata said, that there is need for to build the capacity of the local government chairman and also to create a lot of sensitization around this latest development when it comes to autonomy. So how do you think, because right now it's financial autonomy we are talking about now, and there is still need for a regulation. So how do we balance the need for state and federal oversight and regulation over this local government?
Thank you very much. Let me take off from what the last speaker said. One of the bane of our problem as a nation, and it cut across all levels, is failure of systems. Our system don't work. When we talk about financial responsibility, for example, it's because we don't have a system that works. Now that the local government will have financial autonomy, one thing we must ensure we have is that the court works as far as it concerns local government chairmen who manage resources. If anyone defaults, let the law have its full course. We have examples in other nations. We see former presidents in other nations being sent to jail when they are found guilty. This thing has not happened in Nigeria. Now that we want this local government now to be in charge of resources, just like it's been decided by the Supreme Court, one thing that must go along with that is an efficient system that will hold the local government chairman accountable. If any one of them is found defaulted, take to court. If they deserve jail, let them jail. Let them go to jail. That will serve as example for others and deterrent for others. Then secondly, in terms of capacity building, in the past, the local government is a place where anything goes. But because of the level of responsibility that will now be soldiered by them, at the recruitment stage, there must be an arrangement whereby the best in local government will come up, because it's managerial position that they will be holding down, and they will be administering resources that is enormous. Therefore, we must have people with capacity, people not just being there because somebody wants them to be there. Presently, we have in the local government people that were nominated by governors, people who by all standards may not even be able to perform, but their credential for being there is their loyalty to their governor. That should not be the case. We need to ensure that is done. And in terms of the recruitment and how to balance the power or the administration power between the federal and the state, I was going to say something earlier which time did not allow us to do. We have the local government system in Nigeria over time was a carryover from the system we inherited from the colonialists, which was a product of their own parliamentary system. In a federal state, powers generally is shared by the federal, the state, and the local government. Therefore, At the local government level, the local government should have the power to recruit its own staff, conduct its own election. At the beginning, they may falter, no doubt about that, but over time they will grow. Even politically in Nigeria, we are still faltering because the military didn't allow us to grow over time since the First Republic. Yes, at the beginning, the local government may not get it right, but as they allow over time to manage their resources, manage whatever is coming to them, over time they will come to master it and will be able to do what is needful. So I would say that we must follow the Supreme Court judgment to the end by allowing the federal spirit to run through and allow the local its own business, manage its resources, conduct its own election, and do everything that they ought to do at that level. I agree that because at this stage we don't have people in the local government that we can trust as such to handle this effectively. Over time, when we recruit the right people and of course arrange it in such a way that people will learn through the process, we will have people who will manage effectively at the local government. But the spirit of the judgment of the Supreme Court is that the local government should be independent. They are a free tier of government. They are not the appendages of states. So let that be clear. If we don't allow that to happen, we are going to come back again to where we are coming from. And I think the Supreme Court judgment has freed us in a sense from that heritage. And we should build on what we have now, and over time, barring interruptions, the local government will come out with a system that will be productive, we work for the grassroots and deliver. But we have to start from somewhere. So that's one thing that we must ensure.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Ajewole. Of course, we have to start from somewhere, and the Supreme Court has started, from the very beginning, and like they say, it is the end of the matter. But let's get to Professor Emmanuel Remi Ayede now. Earlier when you spoke, you talked about negotiating with the governors, on the matter, and guests in the studio have said, well, you do not negotiate the Supreme Court judgment; it is final. I want to hear what you think is, your recommendations, as to the way forward in all of this, and how the people generally, we're talking about how the Nigerian populace, the people in these local governments can, get the dividends of democracy. What will be your recommendations going forward?
Yes, I think it must be clarified that I didn't ask for the negotiation of the Supreme Court decision. I made it very clear and outlined the specific decision that has been made by the Supreme Court. Now, those decisions cannot be implemented by the court. The decision has to be implemented by parties involved. And the point that is being made is that these parties have to come together. No party can command another. The Supreme Court once gave a ruling that the federal government funds allocated to local government in Lagos State. But Obasanjo held on to it until he left power. And there was nothing anybody could do. Now we have this decision that has to be implemented. The federal government cannot implement it and just give money to the local governments directly that have elected officials, and we go to sleep that the judgment has been implemented. We are talking about going beyond just giving money to local government, to making sure that monies are spent, are utilized to meet the aspirations of local communities. Now, you can't get that done by another court decision or by legislation. So you need to mobilize people. You need to, first of all, get those who are key actors. Now, we call this kind of a challenge wicked problems. And when you are dealing with wicked problems, the parties, at least the actors that are critical to the decision, will have to be brought to the table for dialogue and agree on modalities for ensuring that the money don't just get to local government chairman and return back to the governors, but that the monies are actually allowed to be used in the way the Supreme Court envisages. That's actually what has to be negotiated. Now, I think everyone agrees that the governors are stakeholders, that the governors have substantial political power to affect the outcome of the Supreme Court decision. So why are we saying that we cannot negotiate that process of implementation? In fact, there's no other way of democratically resolving issues except by negotiation, by persuasion, by dialogue. So we are not talking about negotiating the content of the policy. We are talking about negotiation process of its implementation so that that decision by the Supreme Court, those decisions by the Supreme Court would be meaningful. Otherwise, it will be made in the conflict between the federal government and the state government. And they say when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. So I agree that we should go beyond the state and federal government in the mobilization. We should reach out to civil society organization, community-based organization, traditional institution, PTA, all institutions are around the local government area. That's how, regarding the government level. And we bring and we about how to.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much, Professor Ayede, for your contribution there. There is need for us to have a dialogue, between the states, the federal, and also the local governments. Let's just have your parting shot now because we are out of time.
If the federal government were behaving the way the governor of Oyo State was behaving, the current way he's behaving now, over governors who have independence, will you have the kind of situation? I think that the challenge we have is that we give comfort and to even people who should be in jail. If you held on to local government, the Supreme Court said release money to people, and you held on, it's something that we should be tried for. And we can't celebrate that. We can't, with due respect to highly esteemed Professor Ayede, we can't celebrate that kind of behavior. It is not a good example. Okay. And the reason was that Obasanjo had not completely weaned himself. And part of the challenges that we have today is the way he ambushed democratic structures and was running it in the lens of his military, image. What should happen is that the negotiation should be with citizens. The engagement now should be with citizens. Citizen groups and organizations must come out very clearly and say, look, it is time you take off your hand from this. Okay. This is our thing.
Honorable Shaban, let's have your own parting shot.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, talking about negotiations, if their excellencies, as high up there as they will appear to be, were to be at the receiving end of a Supreme Court decision that said, look, vacate office, will we be talking about negotiation? If the Supreme Court were to void their election, some of which were issues before the respective election tribunals, can we be talking about negotiation? With all due respect, I think it is begging the matter. We're over massaging the egos of their excellencies. These people have held us to ransom for far too long. And I say that without mincing words. Okay. Unless and until we have a society that is willing, aided by the courts, to rein in this. Everybody has to maintain their lanes. The governor's powers may be enormous, but to the extent that they are overreaching others, they should be called to order.
Okay.
That's my position.
All right. Thank you.
Who will call the governors to order now? Final words, Algon, Chairman. The National President of Algon, Honorable Maifata. Please, in 20 seconds, we're about to round up the conversation. Your final words as we close.
I will say I have the conviction in me that this open announcements are going to be adhered to by all tiers of government. I don't see that because from the reached out so far by the Algon National, in fact, we have been receiving positive comments aside from that of Oyo. And that of Oyo, we are very sure we are going to overcome it because we are at the national level, we are going to reach out to him to see reason. And we know that it is a fight, or
All
it
right.
is just something.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Mefata. In the words of Ezinwa Wago, we shouldn't be discussing with people who should be in jail. It's time to round up the conversation. Thank you very much, Ezinwa Wago, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform and convener Say No Campaign Nigeria. Thank you for being our guest this morning. We appreciate your insight. Of course, Shaba Ibrahim, former House of Reps member and former chairman of Kogi State Local Government Council, and also a legal practitioner. It was a pleasure to have you on the program.
It's my pleasure
Thank
to be here.
you. John Ajewale, a constitutional lawyer, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Kogi State. We do appreciate you. Of course, Honorable Aminu Muazu Maifata, National President, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, Algon, and also the Nasarawa State Algon Chairman. Thank you for joining us. And, of course, Professor Emmanuel Remy Aide, Professor of Political Institutions, Governance and Public Policy, Department of Political Science, University of Ibadan. It was great to have you again on the program. So that's Good Morning Nigeria this Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Remain tuned to the NTA. I'm Yen Ray John.
And I'm Ademola Adeye. Thanks for joining us. See you again tomorrow.